Hi everyone, Tasha here and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm creating a card using items from the Hedgehog Hollows April subscription box. I'll have all the subscription box details in the description below. For my project, I'm using the 4x6 stamp set called Life is a Journey, and I'll be using the mountains and one of the sentiments. I'm going to start with 3 colors of paper. I have white, yellow, and then this metallic cardstock called Slate, and it's from Maker Forte. To begin, I'm going to my MISTI tool, and I'm using the Slimline Oval Spotlight Stencil from Maker Forte, and I'm just positioning the mountain stamps so I know where I want to stamp and how I want to create the scene within the oval. So once I position the mountains, I remove the stencil and I'm going to use some gray pigment ink for the stamping. Each image was stamped perfectly, but I did have to stamp 3 times to get the color that I wanted. I wanted a really dark gray color, and the stamped image just wasn't dark enough until I got to the 3rd stamping. But if you wanted something lighter, 1 stamp would have been just fine. After I was done stamping the mountains, I took a piece of masking paper. I just layered it right on top to make it easy for myself, and then I stamped the image one more time. I wanted the masking paper for this card because I want to create a scene within that oval that has the sky and then water surrounding the mountains. So I'm just fussy cutting this image out. It's really easy. There's not much detail, so using scissors went really fast. I gently removed the masking paper and placed it on top of my mountains before I started ink blending. And if you haven't used masking paper, I highly recommend it. And if you don't have it, you can also just use some cardstock and kind of block off the mountains, but masking paper does make it easier. So now I'm going back in with my stencil. I did spray the bottom with some Pixie spray just to keep it from moving around. And then I'm positioning it where I can have a little bit of a sky showing and then the water. I'm going in with tumbled glass distress oxide ink, and I'm just going all over that center opening. And I don't have to worry about the mountains with that white area being covered with ink since I did cover it with masking paper. Afterwards, I went in with a darker shade of blue distress oxide ink on the bottom only because I want to create an effect with the water where it's dark, the same color as the sky, and then a little bit lighter. So it's kind of like a blended just on the bottom, but I kept the sky all one color because you know when you're in the water and the sky kind of reflects off the water, I was kind of going for that kind of look. Afterwards, I blended some more of the tumbled glass on top just to make the blending a little smoother. And then I used some Picket Fence Distress ink just in the center. It kind of gives it a little bit of a spotlight. I really like Picket Fence. I think it does really great when you are blending. Afterwards, I removed the stencil, and then I used this poker tool from Maker Forte to gently remove the masking paper. I want to make sure I don't smear any of that ink because it was still wet, and I want to make sure I didn't touch it with my fingers or do anything because I wanted those mountains to be nice and white. So another plus for masking paper is that you can reuse it. So I did stick it to my stamp set so I can use it again for another project. For my sentiment, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with placement, but I was thinking since I had this oval, I would make the sentiment curved. Unfortunately, it's really hard to do that without sticking the sentiment to something else. So I used a piece of this placement plastic, and I was able to curve the sentiment around that oval frame. I used Color Hive Eclipse Black ink, which is a really nice dark ink. I did have to stamp it twice because one end I didn't apply enough pressure. Afterwards, I went around the stamp with a little bit of a charcoal gray color the white was just a little too bright, and I wanted to kind of blend it out a little bit. Afterwards, I used some liquid adhesive to attach my layers. I love using liquid glue. It gives you some time to kind of move your layers around, and when you use the glue runner, when you attach it, it's really hard if you don't have it perfectly straight. I used liquid glue again to adhere the top card to my layers, and it gave me that perfect wiggle time as well. For my card base, I'm using 110-pound cardstock and then my bone folder from Maker Forte. And then for this part, I am using some glue runner to attach the card to the card base. They're exactly the same size, making it really easy to attach without having to worry about making a layer perfectly straight. To finish off the card, I'm using some crown jewels from Maker Forte. This is Coronation Purple, and it's a nice sparkle, and it just adds a little shimmer to two of the corners. This was my project. I hope you guys enjoyed it for today. Be sure to check out Hedgehog Hollow subscription box, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.